Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be talking about my plans for holding ICP in 2025, just because I've gotten a lot of questions about that recently. People asking me kind of what my plans are, how I view this, my thoughts, my opinions, all that type of stuff. And so, I want to talk a little bit about that today. Keep in mind that this is not financial advice. These are just my opinions on what I am probably going to be doing with my own ICP during 2025 as we proceed into what I'm hoping is a continuation of this bull run that we've seen over the past couple of months. And so this is essentially like my plans and what I'm thinking about doing. Again, you may completely disagree with me. You have to make your own decisions. You have to do all of this, that, and whatever else to make sure that you are comfortable with the decisions that you are making. Because ultimately, you're an adult, I'm an adult. I have to make my own decisions with my money. You have to make your own decisions with yours. So just make sure that, you're not just blindly following the recommendations or the thoughts of, people that you're watching on the internet, just because that's probably not the best idea. That seems to be almost a surefire way to lose. Anyway, so let's go on ahead and talk about crypto bubbles real quick, just because we can see a pretty strong bounce overall in the market. We can see ICP up 13% just today. Really, really good. I actually did take a leveraged long position on ICP, and things are looking pretty good overall on that position so far. I got in the low 10s, and obviously we're sitting up above $12. We'll look at the price here in a second, but things looking very, very good there. We can also see that the meme coins are kind of rolling back a little bit. So this could be potentially, maybe a little bit of the end of kind of like the AI agent cycle, and maybe we're moving back into meme coins, something like that. Obviously I think AI agents have a massive, potential and opportunity and all that type of stuff ahead of them. However, though, we do have to be very, very careful, just because probably 90+% of them, at least currently, are vaporware and going to remain vaporware, just because people are trying to make a quick buck, and that's just how it goes in crypto, because it is permissionless, obviously, right? Anybody can make anything. Whether they're actually able to deliver on it is an entirely different question. So overall, though, we can see a pretty nice bounce in the market. On the week, we can see things very, very green, a couple reds here and there, and then also if we look at the month, reds, basically majority reds everywhere. We just can see a couple here and there for ALTCOIN, AI16Z, Virtuals, BGB, and Hyperliquid kind of being the ones kind of buoying the market over everything else. As we can see, kind of if we exclude most of these like outliers, we can see market down about 20 to 25% on an average over the past month. So we're still sitting in that kind of correction area a little bit, but overall, I mean, not too bad. If we look at the day, we are starting to see that bounce. And if we do look at ICP, we'll actually kind of move right into the ICP chart. We can see things actually looking pretty good here. Obviously we saw that really, really nice run to the upside. We then did see, a pretty aggressive pullback to the downside, and now we are starting to see another little bounce. Are we going to take another run at cycle highs? Hard to say. Are we going to, maybe potentially kind of form into a wedge and consolidate a little bit here? Possibly, anything is possible here, but what we are seeing is definitely a really nice bounce off the upside. As I was talking about kind of fairly consistently on the channel, holding it like this $10 mark, in my opinion, was very, very important. So at least so far, it looks like we have held that. Overall looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with what we've seen so far out of the ICP chart. We can see, looking at the Bollinger Bands, we're getting close to the top Bollinger Band. Definitely kind of blew right through kind of that middle point. We were kind of following off the bottom, but now obviously we have kind of pushed up to the top. We can see right now we're sitting, at least what I would say, kind of right in the middle of kind of the next major levels of support and resistance. So I would imagine, obviously there's a little level of kind of support / resistance at this range, but at least from what I'm seeing, I would guess we probably either come back down to this like $11 range, maybe kind of settle here, or we continue to pump all the way up and then maybe settle somewhere up at like the high 13s. With the trade that I took on ICP, I actually do have, I think I've got to take profit here, like 13.20 or something like that, just because I do think we could see that kind of continuation to the upside. Again, there's no guarantees in life, but overall, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I have my stop loss, I think somewhere around here, like 11.20-ish. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing with my ICP trades and how we're looking with kind of the overall ICP chart. We can see on the RSI definitely moving more towards the upside, but nothing too crazy overall, right? I mean, we're not even close to overbought. Things looking pretty good, at least overall, so far on the ICP chart. So anyway, if you are interested in trading ICP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, anything like that, feel free to use my link in the description below to go on ahead and get signed up for BTCC. They are doing a 10% bonus bonus on first time deposits. So a really, really good deal. This is in addition to the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user. So tons and tons of really, really good rewards here for BTCC. Like I said, if you are trying to find another exchange to trade on, or if you're looking for a secondary or third exchange, anything like that, this could be a really, really good option for you. They've been around for 13 years, so definitely, not too much of a risk of them being like a here today, gone tomorrow type of exchange. Also 300 plus crypto futures. So if they have, they probably have what you're trying to trade if you are looking for something in particular. And then also 500x leverage. Again, I'd strongly discourage you using leverage this high, but if you have some strategy that maybe I'm not aware of, and it requires 500x for whatever reason, they do have that ability as well. Also, no VPN or KYC necessary. So if that's something that's important to you as well, then you're able to do that. Now, I want to go in and essentially start talking about my plan for holding ICP in 2025, because I think there's especially with ICP, there's kind of this weird there's like this weird situation where we're going to have to essentially kind of work between two different things. It's almost like a push-pull, right? So in my opinion, we always need to keep a super, super close eye on inflation, right? Because inflation essentially is like diluting away the money that you have today. And what we can see from ICP is they hold at about a 6.48% inflation rate. Now, again, this isn't like totally the actual inflation rate, because if we look at ICP supply and we look at it over the past year, which it actually might be the past year so far, but what we can see is total supply was 512 million, and now it is 528 million. So basically 16 million ICP inflation over the past year. If we divide that by 517, we can see the actual inflation rate is actually closer to 3.1%. But again, this is because you actually have to go in and claim your rewards. So realistically, we can see that the undispersed voting rewards are actually here. But we can see, so essentially it's supposed to be 6.5%, but right now at least the real rate is somewhere closer to 3%. So essentially there's this issue of, well, is this inflationary pressure on ICP, which over time is going to have a moderately negative effect on the price, just because we are essentially seeing more ICP emitted into the ecosystem. And maybe if the demand stays the same, we're going to have static demand, increasing supply, which means price is going to go down. Basically everything in crypto and markets and anything can come back to supply and demand, right? And so if we have an increasing supply with fixed demand, then price is going to go down. However, if we have increasing supply with more increasing demand, then obviously price will go up, even though supply is still going up. And so this is what we always need to be focused on. And then also we have the other kind of option here, or the other dynamic that we have, which is ICP getting burnt. Now, currently the ICP getting burnt is not anywhere even close to the amount of ICP being emitted into the ecosystem. However, at some point in time, this could be an option, or this could be a market dynamic that is actually valuable, kind of looking at how we're seeing on Ethereum, right? Ethereum right now, Ethereum is actually being emitted into the ecosystem, and so it's becoming inflationary, but the level of inflation is very, very, very minimal. And so that's obviously something that we need to consider as well, because essentially we always need to consider inflation versus deflation versus demand versus supply, all that type of stuff, right? So overall, all this to say, essentially, in my opinion, the way I look at it is, all things being equal, ICP is a little bit on a clock per se, right? Because ICP essentially is going to continue inflating over time, which means that the value of the ICP that we all have is going to get less and less valuable, very similar to what we're seeing with the US dollar kind of over the past 30, 40, 50 years, right? You used to be able to buy a loaf of bread for a nickel, and now it's far more than a nickel, right? So, ICP could potentially end up that same way. But again, there's a lot of other things that could potentially reduce that, right? So of course, right now we're sitting at about a 6.5% inflation rate. That's going to get down to 5% by 2029. What we can also see is ICP, at least recently, the amount of ICP burned has really been going nuts. And so, if that continues to happen and continues to increase, then obviously the burning function of the ICP ecosystem is going to be a lot more valuable as well. But then also we just need to think about the overall increased interest within the ICP ecosystem as well. And so with the increased interest, that should again increase demand, which means it also increases price. So now we got to think of a couple of different things here. So if we're thinking about price, and we're thinking about price appreciating, obviously the price of ICP is going to go up. We've talked about this on the channel several times. Let's just say we see a $100 ICP. That's about 8x from where we are currently. ICP is about $12 right now, so 8x from there. Now we need to think about the ICP staking. right? Because right now, if you just hold ICP and you're not staking it, you're essentially becoming like you're losing out to the inflation that we're seeing on ICP. However, if you're also staking, then you are essentially not losing out to the inflation, right? Because you are generating more ICP off the ICP that you've invested. And so the amount of ICP that you're making goes up and you're essentially like earning more money for it, right? But now the catch-22 with that is if you're staked for like 8 years, there's a lot of people in ICP who stake for like the maximum of 8 years to get the maximum voting rewards, all that type of stuff. If you were to do that, well, now if price 8x's, 10x's, 20x's, you can't sell your ICP, right? And so there's like this weird like push-pull dynamic of, well, you want to be holding, at least in my opinion, you want to be holding at least some in the ICP ecosystem staking, so you're essentially like you're getting diluted less than you would be overall. But also if you're looking to potentially capitalize on the price appreciation of ICP, then that's another one where you're going to have to essentially like try and time the market, right? But if then that never comes around, you could essentially just be like bleeding out over time. Now, again, I have, very, very strong confidence in the ICP ecosystem, the ICP team, all that type of stuff. So I'm not super worried about that overall, but it is potentially a possibility that you could see happening, right? And so anyway, I guess to make a short story long, as far as what I plan on doing with ICP is I definitely want to like leave myself open to the like ability of the price appreciations of ICP. Now, again, on like the long term, that may kind of hurt me a little bit because I'm essentially like getting diluted due to the inflation of the ICP ecosystem. But since I think we're running into a very, very lucrative period of time where I think we could see ICP 10, 15, 20x in the next year potentially. And if that does happen, then I want to be in the ability or in the position where I can actually sell all of my ICP, not all of my ICP, but like at least some of the ICP, capture the gains. And then kind of as happens most times, I'm assuming ICP will probably see a pretty nice drop, just like basically all the rest of crypto does. And then, maybe I can go and buy at a lower price target or price threshold, and then maybe I'll go in and restake some of that for a much longer term. And so anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at, kind of what I'm thinking about, at least right now. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Like I said, you may totally disagree. You may be somebody who's like, well, I'm just going to go stake 100% of my ICP for the 8 years, collect my rewards because I think ICP is going to $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever, and I don't care about selling at 200 and buying back at 50 or whatever, anything like that. This is all obviously like hypothetical numbers and whatnot. None of us actually ever know what's going to happen for sure, but it is something to think about. And so anyway, that's kind of at least my plan. I'm probably going to stake maybe 20 to 30% of my total like ICP portfolio, leave 70 to 80% of it available liquid, try and get out at the top, and then go in and be able to buy much more at a lower price point. Again, you obviously have to make your own decisions. I just, at least from my experience in the last bull run, I tried to hold on to really, really high conviction plays, and it didn't work out, right? I mean, it didn't matter how much conviction I had in them, they still went down 80% or whatever. And so if that is going to happen, I definitely want to be one of the people who are able to capitalize on selling high and buying back in low. And so anyway, that's kind of my plan. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and a subscribe because it really, really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those, so if you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.